Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel. Today I'm showing you part 3 of the story Curse of Bloodlust. I hope it fits your taste. If you like it, let's say you push that like button and the abo button. This story will be narrated a little bit from my side and from the side of my AI voice thingy. If it fits your taste or if you like it, let me know. It would make me happy. And then let's don't beat around the bush for long and start right with the story.
Michael raised his hand, conjuring a swirling cloud of snow that gently enveloped Rune's body. The cold mist surrounded her, but it lacked the biting chill necessary to affect a vampire's senses. Rune remained asleep, undisturbed, yet the blood-red light that had once pulsed from within her was now concealed by the snow. It didn't take long before they arrived. Michael carried her swiftly through the halls, bringing her into her office, a private, sealed room where she would be safe. As he dismissed the snow cloud, it dissolved into the air with a quiet hiss, revealing her once more. The intense crimson glow had dimmed. Now, Rune only shimmered faintly, bathed in a soft, eerie red light that cast a ghostly hue over the office. "Good night, miss," Michael said softly, hesitating a moment as he considered telling her about the glow she would still emit upon waking. But that was a concern for the future. He exited the room without another word and locked the door behind him. The key dropped into a small compartment designed to return it to the interior, a clever mechanism. The door pulsed faintly with magical light before sealing itself shut. The protective wards dimmed, and the entrance appeared utterly unguarded, giving no hint of the powerful security now active. Time passed, and dawn broke over April 12, 2015. Sunlight streamed through the office windows, painting the room with a cold, pale light. It wasn't intentionally kept frigid. Rune simply had no need for warmth. Heating the space beyond the bare minimum would have been a waste of energy. Rune awoke slowly, her senses stretching out like a predator stirring after a long feast. She felt the sluggish weight of overindulgence. Yet, something was different. Within her core, nestled inside the blood-red star that symbolized her power, there were now more than a few glowing fragments. There was structure, organization, and memory. The blood she had consumed had become more than nourishment. It was like a seed. And her unique copy magic. "A gardener. A good morning to me," she murmured, still groggy. "Now let's see, what kind of magic did I manage to copy?" Though she asked the question aloud, the answer was already clear in her mind. Instinctively, she knew. The first magic, copied at around 35%, resembled telekinesis, but specialized exclusively in the manipulation of blood. Unfortunately, she couldn't copy more without drinking further from the same source. The second magic was the real prize, the one she had been aiming for from the start. This one allowed her to crystallize any blood she touched, storing it in that form indefinitely. A practical treasure. Curious, Rune tested the ability on her own blood. With a flick of concentration, she suspended droplets midair and turned them into gleaming red crystals. It was surprisingly easy, especially since she could control the blood telekinetically and crystallize it in the same breath. There was, however, a problem. "These crystals are ridiculously unstable," Rune muttered, grinding one between her fingers. It shattered like dry bark. She guessed it was about as durable as hardwood, not fragile, but far from indestructible. They were strong enough for casual handling, but not reliable under stress or high pressure. transporting them during battle. Risky. Well, I can work with that, she said, brushing the fragments aside. But what about the third magic? She raised a hand, a flickering flame appeared above her fingertip, crimson at the core, with strands of violet and rose curling along its edge. This magic was different from the others. It wasn't innate. It was learned. That meant, theoretically, if she studied it, if she understood it, she could improve it. Shape it. Refine it. But there was something else. Something even more significant had changed inside her. It took her a moment to pinpoint the feeling. When she closed her eyes and focused inward, she felt it clearly, a kind of search function, like an inner archive. Merely thinking about a specific type of magic allowed her to visualize it within the blood-red star at her core. The star wasn't real. Not physically. It was more like a mental representation, an abstract embodiment of her copy magic. But it worked. It gave her access. Control. Ah, this is giving me a headache, Rune muttered. Why is the way I see magic so damn hard to describe? With a sigh, she stood and stretched, casting a glance at the calendar. Wednesday. She approached the large door to the room and tried to open it. The key word was tried. Despite being inside, the door refused to budge, it was too heavy. Too secure. Rune blinked, puzzled, then remembered. The key. The compartment system. Only the person inside could retrieve the key if the room was occupied. It was a safeguard. No one could enter from the outside while someone was within unless the door was manually unlocked from the inside. With a flick of her wrist, she summoned one of her blood crystals, crafted from her own blood, and guided it through the air toward the compartment holding the key. Then, using telekinesis, she crushed the crystal. The blood exploded, forming multiple floating orbs. One positioned itself below the key, another wrapped around it like a clawed hand. With a gentle tug, the mechanism triggered, and the door clicked open. She pulled the blood back into herself. Stepping into the corridor, Rune found the villa quiet, pristine. As always. Time passed quickly. She wandered the halls, immersed in her own thoughts. Planning. Watching the news. Digesting more magic to copy.
It is the dead of night when the letter arrives. It lands softly on the windowsill, untouched by wind, as if guided by invisible hands. The moon shines pale and solemn above, casting silver light across the wooden floor of the small room where Rune Silverstar sits, restless and awake. She picks up the letter as it unfolds itself in midair, the paper smooth and unnaturally warm to the touch. Dear Rune Silverstar, you are hereby formally accepted into the Intermagics. We are pleased to welcome you. Please have your belongings ready. The bus will arrive to collect you at precisely 3 p.m. this Friday, 2 days from now. She skims the message again, but finds nothing unusual, nothing hidden between the lines, no cursed ink or magical trigger. Yet the very thought of Intermagics, with its strange reputation and arcane rumors, sends a tingle down her spine. So many magical beings in one place. It's going to be chaotic. I wonder if Gaius will be there too, Rune mutters, leaning back into her old armchair with a tired smile. The thought of writing Gaius a letter stirs something soft in her chest, something almost forgotten, but it also opens a door to a darker room in her heart. Her family. That pain still lingers. A part of her wishes to reconcile, but another part, colder and more scarred, wants to leave them behind forever. Rune blinks slowly, realizing just how tangled and unresolved her feelings have become. She allows herself a moment of stillness to reflect. How did she end up here? It all began when her family deemed her useless, lavishing praise and attention on her siblings instead. Whether it was neglect or depression, Rune couldn't tell anymore. The line had long since blurred. But over time, with every insult, every bruise, every blow at school, something within her broke. No, twisted. That brokenness festered and grew, until one day, it snapped. Something dark and ancient spilled out of her, and the bully who cornered her barely lived to tell the tale. Basically, I lost it, cracked him like a melon. What was that NPC's name again? Who cares? He lived, probably. She chuckles dryly, amused by the memory, bitter at how far she's fallen. Everything spiraled from there. Therapists failed her. Her family had already written her off. What followed was a blur of pain, violence, drugs, sex, and more pain. A spiral that never stopped sinking. What a goddamn mess of a life. And then the blood cancer. Or was it war? I can't even remember where I fought. I could find out, but honestly, why bother? She reaches for a glass. Can I assist you, miss? Michael's voice interrupts her spiral, calm as ever. Yes, you can. I need your honest opinion on something. Please don't lie just to be polite. Of course. Ask me anything. What keeps you going, Michael? I mean, really. You're immortal. Centuries, maybe millennia. You could be anything, do anything. Why? A butler. Michael smiles faintly, his eyes softening. I served Dracula once. There's not much left in the world I haven't seen. You underestimate how long I've walked this earth. It's not about money. I've had more than enough. It's about purpose. This role, this house, this family, I feel grounded here. And more than that, I don't want the Silver Star legacy to simply vanish, to be swallowed by history. Call it absurd, but to me, preserving this beauty, this legacy, makes the world just a bit more colorful. Rune pauses, surprised by the sincerity of his answer. Didn't expect that, she admits. Next question. What would you do if I drank vampire blood and didn't go insane? Michael blinks. His expression doesn't change at first, but he leans in, cautious. That's impossible. But if that happened, I would consider it a miracle, and I wouldn't tell a soul. As your butler, it would not be my place to betray my mistress. He stops mid-sentence. His eyes widen. He smells it, the blood in her glass. She shows no signs of madness, no shaking hands, no rabid hunger. Just calm, controlled, focused. Not even Dracula managed that. Nothing about it makes sense. I believe Dracula's magic suppresses the usual mental effects, Rune says, her tone clinical now. And as for me, my ability, let's call it copy. When I drink blood, I copy the inherent magic of the being it came from. Doesn't matter if the blood is ancient or fresh. This particular sample, it was offered willingly. I told the vampire how to awaken his innate magic, and in return, he gave me this. No risk. He was weaker than me. I used this handy little artifact I found somewhere around here to scramble his memory of my appearance. No trace. Silence fills the room, thick and heavy, cutting through the air like a blade. Michael stares at her. I'm speechless. You trust me with a secret like that? Rune nods slowly. Yes, Dracula's memories whispered that you were trustworthy. And more than that, I need someone I can trust. I think that person is you. Honestly, you were the only person I thought might still be loyal. That's why I'm asking for your blood. I'll need about 5 liters. You'll regenerate, and I'd like your help with the rest of my plans. Michael exhales slowly, absorbing the weight of her words. You should have told me sooner. Speaking with a vampire directly? That was reckless. He could remember your scent. You're lucky nothing went wrong. But now you have me. I was careful, Rune insists. Not careful enough.
Wait, did I hear that correctly? Did you just say you told the vampire how to awaken his innate magic? Michael asked, astonished, unable to hide his disbelief. Yes, I can see it. Everyone's innate magic. Every living being in this world possesses some form of magic. Even insects, though theirs is faint and barely worth noticing. But that also means I can sense how many living things are nearby, Rune replied, her voice steady and calm. Michael's expression darkened. This wasn't just surprising, it was dangerous. Monumentally dangerous. If someone truly had the power to identify and trigger latent magical abilities in others, the balance of the world could be shattered. Wars could be waged over such knowledge. Kingdoms would rise or fall at her whim. Rune Silverstar wasn't merely gifted, she was potentially world-changing. With her ability, she could forge armies of loyal mages, elevate the powerless to power, and disrupt centuries of magical hierarchy. My God. Michael whispered, leaning against the wall as if the weight of this revelation had drained the strength from his limbs. This is beyond dangerous. If anyone finds out about this, it could spell disaster. Rune merely shrugged, as if discussing the weather. Anyway, I was thinking of visiting my family tomorrow. Would be nice if you could contact the Blackstone family in advance. Just drop my name. Those bastards will want to see me then. Michael blinked, caught completely off guard. Wait, what do you mean by that? She folded her arms and looked him straight in the eyes. My full name is Rune Silverstar Blackstone, heir of Dracula, third daughter of the ancient mage bloodline, the Blackstones. Michael stared at her, stunned. You're the daughter of the eldest noble mage family, the Blackstones. That bloodline is legendary. Yep. Found out not too long ago myself, Rune replied, clearly annoyed by the whole thing. They continued talking as the night dragged on. When the first rays of morning sun spilled through the window, their plans had begun to solidify. Rune would start with the basics, learning proper magical control at the academy. Only afterward would she seek out more blood to absorb, more power to claim. Thanks for your blood, by the way, she added nonchalantly. If you're curious about your innate magic, it's the ability to accelerate your healing using the blood of others. No, not the natural regeneration of a vampire. I mean something more specific. She picked up a small knife from her desk and sliced her palm open. The wound ran deep, red and raw. Michael tensed, but she merely held it out and waited. After 13 seconds, the gash sealed shut on its own. Then she made another cut, but this time, she called upon the blood contained within the crystal vials surrounding her. As the foreign blood touched her skin, the wound sealed almost instantly, vanishing before his eyes. Thanks to you, I am now even harder to kill, she said with a faint smirk. And if you ever want to use your ability consciously, here's what you do. Pour blood over your wound, but not your own. It has to be someone else's blood, and it must be free of magic. That will activate your innate power. With that, she turned and walked away. Michael bowed his head respectfully. Thank you, he said, then quietly exited to resume his duties, leaving Rune alone in her office. She sat in silence, her fingers brushing the edges of a worn leather-bound book. Her thoughts drifted to the meaning of her name. Silverstar. A name etched in history. If her memory of the library's archives served her well, the Silverstar family had existed as far back as the destruction of Babylon, 13,000 years ago. She rose and walked to one of the towering shelves. The book in her hand was titled, The History of Babylon. Its pages were filled with mystery, power, and warnings long forgotten. According to legend, Babylon was once the greatest magical city, far surpassing even the myths of Atlantis. It was a place of unity, where all magical races gathered to trade, negotiate, and advance. But then came the fire. A mysterious blaze that reduced the city to ash, along with the fragile alliance between the magical species. Afterward, paranoia and betrayal spread like a plague. The book claimed that Babylon may have opened a gateway to the heavens, an interdimensional portal. The rumors varied wildly, but one truth remained consistent. Babylon had at least one door to another world. It was also the first place in history where the existence of the afterlife was supposedly proven. So they had something like an interdimensional gate. Rune whispered, her eyes scanning the pages with growing fascination. She closed the book gently, the weight of history settling over her shoulders. As Rune pondered her next steps, a familiar thought drifted into her mind. Perhaps it was time to write to her old friend, Gaius. It didn't take long for her to draft the letter. Her hand moved almost on its own, guided by emotion and urgency. But then a curious pause struck her as she stared at the folded parchment. Wait a second, these letters can fly on their own in this magical world, but how does that even work? I've never actually looked into the mechanics. Is it some kind of phenomenon-based magic, or just a simple enchantment? She muttered to herself, frowning at the letter as if it might answer her. Well, I could just ask someone. With a resigned shrug, Rune stood up, letter in hand, and opened the door to her study. Beyond it, the first rays of morning had begun to wake the household. The earliest risers among the human staff were already engaged in cheerful conversation. Rune couldn't help but notice. Humans seemed to outnumber the mythical beings in her service lately, a curious reversal, considering the nature of the household. As she walked down the elegant corridors of her villa, she noticed something odd. A distracted air lingered among the staff. Hey, can I ask what's going on? Rune asked casually as she approached a small group. You all seem a little preoccupied. Apologies, miss, said one of the men, glancing up. It's just, these news reports are fascinating. And technically, our shift hasn't started yet. No harm done. What's so interesting? There were some werewolf sightings in Germany, said a red-haired woman with striking blue eyes. The press even interviewed a few uninformed civilians. The clip that's going viral right now features this old hunter, swears werewolves have lived in those woods for generations. Huh, I didn't know that. Thanks for letting me know. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have noticed until tomorrow, knowing me. Rune smiled good-naturedly. It's not a big deal, miss, and I doubt it matters much when you find out, said another staff member kindly. Still, Rune chuckled, I live under a rock. I'm terrible at gathering intel, but when it comes to planning, I think I do all right. She turned away from the group, and nearly jumped as she noticed someone silently standing behind her. Michael, she said, exasperated, please stop sneaking up on me like that. And while I have your attention, could you show me how to actually send this letter? It's embarrassing, but I have no idea how this works. I don't have Gaia's phone number, so a letter it is. Michael nodded. Of course, I'd be happy to help. It's not difficult, but the seal on the letter, it should come from you. Also, as for contacting mages, there are easier ways than enchanted mail. It just depends on whether the recipient accepts the connection. For instance, dreams are one method, though he'd have to be asleep. Letters are less secure but work in a pinch. Dream communication is the safest. You're a lifesaver, honestly, Rune said, stepping aside with him. Let's go ahead and send this one. I'll ask about the other options later. It's quite simple, Michael explained. You channel your magic into the letter, and then say the incantation Livio. As you do, picture the recipient in your mind. The spell handles the rest. You could also use silent magic, but most people don't bother memorizing this one or adapting it for nonverbal use. It's not secure anyway, letters can be intercepted. If it's not too important, though, this will do. He's always so serious, Rune thought, eyeing his expression as she focused on her magic. Moments later, the letter folded itself into the shape of a small bird and flapped into the air. With each beat of its wings, glowing letters drifted behind it like sparkling snowflakes, beautiful and strange. Breakfast time, piped a squeaky voice from downstairs. What Rune saw next brought a delighted laugh to her lips, something she hadn't experienced in a while. Perhaps her retreat into solitude had cost her more moments like this. A miniature train chugged across the floor, metal wheels and frame clinking softly, but the carriages were utterly bizarre. I'll have a jam toast, someone called out, and, as if on cue, tiny humanoid figures made of bread, butter, and jam sprang into action. The train served food like a magical buffet, yet the portions never depleted, no matter how much people ate. Boone immediately sensed it, a thin thread of ambient magic. These bread creatures weren't alive, per se. They had no magical cores, no inner spark. They were enchanted constructs, artworks made of food and animation, imbued with motion but not life. Is it always like this, Michael? She whispered, watching as the train lifted off the ground and floated toward a group of staff waiting for their breakfast. In another cart, Rune spotted tiny figures stirring a pot over a fire, apparently cooking noodles. She blinked. There's no way all that food fits in those tiny carts. The volume alone doesn't add up. Ah, well. That's magic for you. She turned to Michael again. I won't be able to visit my family before the school's first break, she told him. But, I'd really like to learn more about intermagics. What Michael told her next overwhelmed her. The School of Magical Arts wasn't just prestigious, it was the largest magical institution in the world. And likely the most secure place on the planet. It was founded by Niall Eldarin, Michael said. An elf you never want to underestimate. He's one of the 10 most powerful individuals in existence. Strong enough to slay a dragon, and probably destroy an entire nation's army single-handedly. He paused. To call him a living weapon is an understatement. Even nuclear bombs pale in comparison. At least bombs only explode once. He recovers. Rune's chest tightened. What the hell? Is he serious? An elf that powerful? Her own strength had immense potential, yes, but against monsters capable of raising nations, she might as well be a bug. And that's not all, Michael continued. Intermagics exists in a dimensional pocket, a separate bubble world with different laws of reality. You can't enter or leave unless you've been granted access by the creator of that realm. What's a bubble world? Rune asked, eyes wide. A fully separate dimension with its own natural laws, Michael explained. There aren't many of them. Isn't that a bit overkill for security? Not really. There are countless noble families sending their heirs there. No one wants their children hurt or dead. Over 10,000 students attend every new year. Trust me, the scale is justified. Holy shit. Good thing no one knows I can copy magic, Rune thought, stunned. Now I get why he was so mad at me. There were beings out there, human and otherwise, who could topple countries. If she didn't tread carefully, she could disrupt the balance of the entire world. And that was something no one would forgive or ignore. I need allies. Support. If I want to survive in a world like this, I can't afford to be seen as a threat, or worse, an accident waiting to happen. Her expression darkened as the weight of this realization settled in her chest. From now on, she would have to be very careful about when and how she copied magical abilities, be it from people or other living creatures.
That's it. I hope you really liked it. If it fits your taste, if you had fun listening to my stories as much as I had telling the stories or letting the story be told by an AI tool thingy, then leave a like and an abo and don't forget to recommend my YouTube channel to your friends. Now I want to say to you that my English is not that good. I hope I'm getting better, but that's not the point. I'm thinking about changing my narration style, my talking style from the story, and I hope it fits your taste. It's a little bit special. And now, if you want to go to the next video, the newest video I uploaded, then you can click on the left wide Bildschirm, and if you want to go to the playlist, you can click on the right side on the screen. And goodbye, that's it for today.